रुसिया यार मनावा हक, कहो ते की करिए। वसल दा वादा करके अख ना मारिए। सुख चैन सब खो गया मैं दूर होके। ना चैन मिली ना सांझ में ना रोके। अखा तकिया तकिया राह निहारिए। वसल दा वादा करके आँख ना मारिए। रुसिया यार मनावा हक. I'll go line by line and explain the meaning also. Rusiya Yaar Manawa Haq. It is my right to appease my displeased beloved. Kaho te ki kariye. Tell me what can I do. Vasal da vada karke aankh na mariye. Don't go back on your promise of union and turn away. Sukh चैन सब खो गया मैं दूर होके. All my peace and comfort are lost because I am far away. ना चैन मिली ना सांझ में ना रोके. Neither peace nor comfort I have found, not even by crying. अखां तकिया तकिया राह निहारिए. My eyes watch the path waiting for you. वसल द वादा करके आँख न मारिए. Don't go back on your promise of union and turn away. Ruseya Yaar Manawa Haq. It is my right to appease my beloved. And this is by Baba Bulleh Shah, who wrote it for his Murshid.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a single sentence. This sentence comes from the Sufi saint Baba Bulleh Shah, who says, "Ek Ruttha Yaar Manavanga." We will firstly go into who Baba Bulleh Shah was, getting a bit of a glimpse into his life, and then try to understand the significance of this statement. Baba Bulleh Shah was a great saint coming from the Sufi tradition who had come out of a Muslim background and was going towards a spiritual path which in which he faced so many resistances, and yet he chose the relationships in his life which were really uplifting. And one of these relationships, which he chose and tried to choose again and again, was the one with his saint Guru, his Murshid, who was Inayat Shah. So, this statement where he says that ek Ruttha Yaar Manavanga has been dedicated towards his Guru, where this came off as a very interesting story where he was abandoned by his guru. He felt astray from his path, and as a result of which he was sent away. He was told to go back to his own worldly ways, and in the deep regret of his own frustrations, of his own coming to see the problems that he had, of his own being able to witness the ways that were flawed, in which he disrespected the saint, in which he was not giving importance to the real work but rather to his ego, to his frustrations, is where he was really abandoning his own self to. And that's why it was important for the guru to give him a push, to throw him away out of his orbit. Although it is said in spirituality that one can never really go away from the real truth, but it is in a way that we are in cycles, in orbits, and he was pushed afar into that. Ek रूठा यार मनावांगा. So it is not without any reason that we know of Baba Bulleh Shah, his poetry, his sayings so greatly. People have heard him more than maybe his guru. And it is because of his fondness or his keenness, his continuous endeavor to go towards the teachings, where he was not ashamed of behaving or dressing up as someone who is a dancer in order to please the guru too. He went to that much of an extent. He sang, he danced, he went to the limits where someone would think that their self-respect is coming in the middle. Our ego comes in middle when we have to do tough things. Our image, our self-image, our vision, how we are perceived by the society becomes so important that we are unable to look beyond the crude ways of our own thinking. We are not able to see that something which is essential to us, that is life giving, something which is taking us towards our salvation, something that is making us grow, something which is so ordinary yet essential, just like water. Why are we not giving it the importance that it deserves? And this can be said about the words of the saint. The true saint is life giving. His principles, his values, his compassion and character are the things which really take one towards giving them a sip of their own soul. Why do we not take it seriously? And we, in our own very egoistic ways, in our own astute workings of the mind, we are trapped in our own cycles. We are not able to look beyond what lies in our own echo chambers that we perceive things as. We think in structured ways, we think that we are progressing, yet many a times we are still stuck in invisible cycles. And someone who has lived the path, someone who has reached this devotion, this Sufiana, is someone from which one should vie to learn continuously from. We do not understand that the principles that they are preaching are not something that is to be kept at a distance. We try to idolize them, and in that very arrangement, in that very situation, we distance them to. Whatever we idolize or give a godly form, we consider it to be away or far-fetched for us. We think that us mere normal human beings, how will we ever be able to achieve that amount of greatness? How will we ever be able to get close to that grandeur? How can one reach those idealistic values? Whereas the values or the grandeur that you are talking about, or the saints told you about, is not something which is very distant. It is not something which was meant for gods. It was done and meant for and by us very humans. That is why it is kind of a blasphemy to idolize someone to such an extent that we stop considering them as humans. Because in this lies our very own conspiracy against ourselves, that we think that we will never be able to achieve those dimensions. We will never be able to reach that greatness. We will never be able to take a dip into that very serene pond or pool. This stigmatization of ourselves is a conspiracy against our own growth. Us considering all those principles as something to be kept on a pedestal is not correct. And that's why, as Baba Bulleh Shah did, we need to have that good company. The Yaar which he mentions, it might be a single person who is your guru, or it might be a set of people, it might be Sangati, it might be Sadhu Vad, it might be Satsang, and all these mechanisms of having a good community around you are something which will really help you progress and not let you think of the higher values that you want to inculcate in your life as something very distant. एक रूठा यार मनावंगा. This yar, what is the quality of this yar? We, in a way, just talked about it, that this yar is not something necessarily who is a bodily person or someone who takes you towards materialism or reminds you of your materiality or your limits. It is someone who is taking you higher, who is someone who is making you grow in ways. They really want to see the greater principles that have landed in their life to become a part of you too. Someone who is walking on excellence, someone who is working on themselves and as a result is able to emanate that fragrance of beauty to others too. That is the yar that Baba Bulleh Shah is vying for. He wants to basically make amends with them. And it is very important to do that. Now, if it was a normal person, it was someone like me or you who are stuck in our own thought patterns, in our own ego, in our own limited spirals, in our own self, then we would have really not allowed this communion or really not allowed this act of going towards the other, even pleading or begging or even creating a mockery out of oneself, because we would have been too full of ourselves. We think our self respect is everything, but at certain places, even our self respect needs to be abandoned. When you see that the loss is so extraordinary, someone who is able to give you such beauty and they do it selflessly is a yar to vie for. We do not go beyond our measures, we do not see the limited circles that we are stuck in. Only a person who is able to see their own limiting cycles will really appreciate the presence of something which is life giving. They will try to go beyond their means. They will really approach things in a way that they are able to become available to the grace. And that is what grace is. Sometimes it comes without choosing, and sometimes you have to choose it consciously. Once you had a taste of it, you have come across grace. It need not be an individual saturi for you, which means that it need not be just an instance of living. It need not be just an individual moment where you were able to come closer to your center. It need not be just a passing by of clarity where the clouds of confusion melted away. It is something which is to be inculcated into one's life. When you see that something is so loving, something is grace in itself, something is affirming to your delicate parts, that is close to your soul, you have to really give it the importance that it deserves. You have to bring in discipline. You have to let go of your defenses. You have to take up sometimes arms as well in order to defend what is truly beautiful. Because it is said, often said, that maybe love is not something that asks for protection, but that's not true according to Bulleh Shah. According to him, you might have to take up arms too in order to go towards what you love. You need to become capable of things too. You cannot become a weakling and expect things that are beautiful to reach you always. You might get a glimmer, a glimpse of it. But in order for it to become your life, you will have to really become resolute and head into that direction. We do not understand this. We think that us staying weak will justify whatever comes our way, and it will be good in itself for us to reach that beloved. The master, the real master, asks for you to gain strength too. He does not see joy in your weakness. He sees you as a potential of his own manifestation. The person who is a real well-wisher, who is the real beloved, will want you eventually to have the attributes, the life-giving qualities that they have in themselves too. They want you to be a beholder of it, a bearer of it, not something who is contrasting or something who is very much repulsed by the beauty, or they want to stay a part of the master's life as something of a superficial nature of being. They want the essence to be intensified, and that is how you reach towards it. And that's why Baba Bulleh Shah said that if even if I need to dance for the beloved, even if I need to sing, even if I need to go against morality of the society, I will face the sanctions. I will lose my relationships. I will lose my perception, my vision, my image in order to go towards one true thing which is giving me salvation. एक रूठा यार मनावांगा.